Hello and welcome back for another fun-filled episode. Today we're going to be talking about how to keep the weight off for good, or for everybody watching on YouTube and in the Fit 40 family, forever. Okay, so we're going to start this off with by raise your hand if you have been personally victimized. Let me back that up. Sorry, guys, I'm doing this late night. Like, I had to squeeze this in for you before this goes live tomorrow. So apologies if I stumble a little bit. Um, First, let's start by raising your hand if you've been personally victimized by fad diets, yo-yo diets, or just giving it your best shot and falling victim to losing a ton of weight and then gaining it all right back. If that's you, it's okay because you're actually in the majority. 80 to 95% of dieters regain the lost weight, and 90% of people who lose a substantial amount of weight regain it all. And more than half of lost weight is regained within 2 years, and over 80% is regained within 5 years. So it doesn't always come back really, really fast, but it does end up coming back, which leaves a lot of people stuck in feeling like, why do I even bother? Like, why should I even diet? This sucks. And I end up in the exact same place. Well, luckily for you, it doesn't have to be that way. As we're learning more, as we're doing more research and figuring things out that have worked for people that are successful, there are a lot of things that you can do to increase your chances to be in that percentage of people that keep the weight off for good. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, because clearly we don't have a weight loss issue. I know for everybody listening right now, maybe you have lost 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 pounds and been able to do that at least once in your life. And that would be deemed significant. Like anything like around that 5 to 10% of your body weight or more mark would be deemed significant. And a lot of people have done that multiple times. Okay, it's not a loss issue, it's a maintenance issue. We need to learn how to maintain that loss. So we're going to cover exactly how to do that. But before we do, I know I keep saying we're going to cover it, but we got to start with what most people do. Okay. For most people, they eat as little as possible to start out, whether that's a fad diet or whether that's on certain medications. We see this now with things like Ozempic, with things like Zepbound and things like that, where people are basically using these meds to just eat next to nothing because they want to lose the weight super duper fast and they really just want to keep eating the same. They just don't want to have to really change anything. Okay. Or these fad diets that demonize certain things like carbohydrates, like fat, or things like that, where you just cut out an entire food group and you, again, eat next to no calories and you lose a lot of weight really, really fast. And you're like, oh my God, this is such a good diet. This works so well. But it sets you up for failure because you do lose that weight, but by trying to keep eating that way forever in this deprived state where you know you're not actually fueling your body, you feel like you want more food or you feel like you could eat more food and you just have to put up with this way of eating long enough to get the results that you want. Eventually something gives and you say, screw this, I'm done. Or your body just feels so horrible that you're like, all right, I can't do this forever. And you haven't really built any strategies up and you haven't built any skills that allow you to keep the weight off. So you just go back to what you were doing, which results in going back to the way that you were. Okay. Another thing that people do is, um, oh, here we go. Yeah. So sorry. That is what most people do. This is what most people should do. And if you guys want to nerd out on this stuff, I put the citation for where I got a lot of this. It's actually an article based on how they help control weight in the military. And these actually pretty much fall in line with the things that we're finding in the general population as well. So these things make a big, big difference if you take the time to actually improve on these skills and work on it while you're dieting. Okay, so first and foremost is to lose it the right way. We just talked about how not to lose it. Don't starve yourself. Don't cut out entire food groups or specific ingredients because that's a restriction mindset. There are no diet foods. Okay, this is not I eat these certain foods when I'm trying to lose weight and then I just go back to eating other foods when I'm done. No, you got to learn how to incorporate everything so that way when you hit that place where you want to be, you don't feel like you have to go back to eating all the things that you were deprived of because that's going to put the weight back on. Okay, so Incorporate your favorite foods, but find out how much you need, like by using portion sizes, by figuring out how many calories things are worth. So that way you understand the value of food instead of just saying, well, I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat this. That's why we get in trouble in the first place. Okay. And then also no magic supplements. Okay. Contrary to popular belief, these supplements that you're convinced are the secret to your success are not. Okay. The thing that is you doing all that other stuff to try and get the most out of them, like exercising, like eating better, like sleeping more because you're exercising and eating better. That's the magic right there. These supplements do like 1% of the job, and there's science to back that up, regardless of whatever their marketing is telling you. Unless it's something like a pharmaceutical grade drug, then yeah, that probably is doing the job. Um, when it comes to the things that you want to start incorporating, try balanced meals for 2 to 4 times a day. Okay. If you work a shift job where you can't really eat that often, have one big meal at the start, one big meal at the end. You get 2 solid meals in and then have some snacks throughout the day. That's a great way to do it. Or if you're the type of person that likes more meals, that's fine. Do 3, 4, 5, as long as you're having solid meals and you're not just grazing throughout the day, having random snacks, because that's another recipe for disaster and it doesn't end well for most. Okay. Focus on portion control. Again, whether you're figuring out how many calories you're budgeting throughout the day or going by hand portions, something like that will go a very long way, because when you have an idea of the portions that you're allowing yourself for the day, you have some sort of structure. And when you have that structure, you can adapt that structure based on your results. So for example, let's say you're trying to get 2 palms of protein at every meal. You're trying to get a fist of carb or a cupped hand of carbohydrates, a fist of veggies, and a thumb of fat. And you do that for your 3 meals and then have a couple of snacks and you're maintaining. You can say, okay, this is my structure. I'm going to go ahead and take out the carbohydrates for breakfast and lunch and save my carbohydrates for dinner. That cupped hand of carbohydrates is going to be roughly about 150 to 300 calories. So when you take out 1 or 2 of those, you're now in a deficit and you can say, okay, I'm going to reliably lose weight on this since I was maintaining, not gaining before. But I'm not going to get into the weeds on that. But just know when you have structure, you can manipulate variables to work in your favor. Okay. Next is aiming to feel better. When you hop on a diet, it should not be this torture, this suffer fest where you're like, I just got to put up with it and I'll get the results and I'll, once I get to the end goal, it'll all be worth it. It won't. I'll say that again. It's not going to be worth it. Okay. Don't try and convince yourself otherwise. It's absolute bullshit. It's just you trying to convince yourself that this quick fix, this fad is exactly what you need because Susie down the road lost X amount of weight and she's going to be in that 80 to 95% of people that's going to gain it all right back. Okay. Let's cut the shit. Okay. The best thing to do is to eat high quality foods, include foods that you enjoy in moderation, and aim to feel better overall. Okay. The reason that a lot of people feel really good on these fad diets in the beginning is because they get a break from the standard American diet, which includes like very unhealthy fats, very high fat diets. Okay. Things that are very micronutrient or that are not micronutrient dense, things that don't have a lot of nutritional value. And then all of a sudden you cut out all this stuff and potentially stuff that's irritating your body, like your gut. Like let's say you're allergic to something or sensitive to something and you cut that out, you're going to feel like $1,000,000. But when you're eating starvation calories, when you're depriving yourself of the things that you absolutely love for a long enough period of time, it's a recipe for disaster and it's not going to work long term. And long term is the name of the game here. Okay, next is self monitoring, like I just talked about. So, when it comes to having that structure, track your food or go by hand portions. Okay, check your weight or your measurements for once. Like when it comes to weighing, you could do it daily if you like that. But if it's a giant mind fuck, like it is for a lot of people, I have my clients only weigh in and do their inches once a month. So, basically it's just getting a rhythm of doing it enough where you keep to the habits that keep you successful because you know that that thing is coming up, like that accountability of seeing how many calories you have at the end of the day, or that accountability of seeing the calendar where you check off every time you stick to your hand portions, or that, like for my clients, the first of the month, they know when it comes around, measurements are going to show exactly how they did. So Have something to hold you accountable is pretty much the name of the game there. Number three is physical activity. So if you see any program that says lose weight without exercise, just know they don't care about you long term. Because if they did, they would include physical activity, unless for some reason you are unable to. But let me tell you this, unless you are paralyzed from the neck down, there is always something that you can do, whether that's just walking, whether that is just upper body or just lower body or something in the pool. There is so many different modalities that you can do. And even somebody who is paralyzed from the neck down, they can do eye exercises. They can do jaws, chew on that jaw exercise ball. There is always some sort of a movement you can do, regardless of whatever you got going on. It just comes down to figuring out how to adapt to your specific situation. Because when you do that, one, it's going to increase lean body mass. And there is a very strong correlation with losing lean body mass and your chance of regain going up. So the more lean body mass you hold on to and possibly even build while you're dieting increases your chances to keep it off for good, because lean body mass, the more that you have, the more calories that you need to maintain that. So you're burning more calories at rest and you can get away with eating more when you're maintaining, compared to somebody who has less lean body mass than you, that's the exact same weight, that's the exact same height, the same gender. If you have more muscle, you can handle more food. That's why you see all these influencers online that are like, oh my God, I'm 130 pounds and I can eat 3,000 calories. It's because they have more muscle. Okay. More energy, making it, when you have more energy, you're going to burn more calories. So if you do cardiovascular exercise and it leaves you feeling like $1,000,000, okay, now you're going home to your partner and having more sex throughout the week. That's a lot of calories burned. Okay. You're walking more. You're carrying the groceries in that one trip because you're stronger. Okay. You're able to put out more energy. You're tapping your foot more at your desk. Little micro movements like that burn a ton of calories, and it makes it that much harder to put weight on. And then next is improved mood. When you feel good, you usually eat better. And when you feel like shit, you usually eat shittier. So when your mood is improved, you're also in a better position to make better decisions. Next is problem solving. So understanding that your problems are not going to go away. And this is what I think is one of the big things that a lot of people don't really focus on, which is they wait for the perfect conditions. They wait for things to slow down. They wait for things to get better. And then all of a sudden, those same problems come right back around and bang, you're right off the wagon, right all over again, and you're back to square one. Okay. If you know these problems are coming, you got a game plan for them. Okay. Face them head on, figure out what can I do in this situation. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean that you can't do something and keep progressing. Okay. You're still going to be able to make progress towards your goals, regardless of whatever you got going on, as long as you're doing the bare minimum. For a lot of people, that could be one or two times in the gym. Like, let's say you work Monday through Friday and you get weekends off. If you can get a Saturday and a Sunday workout in, because those are the only days you have off, you can still make a ton of progress just by doing those days and then doing your best to rack up some steps. Like, if you're at work, if you could get a walking pad at your desk, or if you can go walk to your coworkers instead of emailing or texting them, or when you're at home, go walk to your kids or your spouse and actually move your butt to go see them, and don't just yell, hey, get over here. Like, little stuff like that goes a long way. Make sure to strategize ahead of time. Take 1 to 2 minutes in the morning or like at night right before you go to bed, because let's be honest, there's a lot of people who suffer from sleep deprivation or just not getting enough sleep because they're trying to hold on to so many things in their head. Put it all down right before you go to bed. Okay, put it in your calendar. Take the time to plan out your next day and have it all down somewhere so you can refer back to it instead of really grasping at holding on to it and stressing yourself out. Or let's say you're going to a work dinner. Like, I know I have a client right now who is has like a bunch of different meetings going on, and he's out to a bunch of dinners, and it's like, okay, hey, take a look at the menu ahead of time. Can you find something with protein, fiber, and color on the plate? If you can, big thumbs up. That's way better than just saying, screw it, I'm going to get the ribeye, I'm going to drink an entire bottle of wine. We're going to get the mac and cheese for the appetizer, and then we're going to get a cheesecake for dessert because you know what? I'm not on my diet. Okay. When you can take that and flip it and say, no, I'm going to do the best I can with what I got, that's where maintenance happens. And then, like I said, don't expect perfect. Perfect does not exist. It's all about what you can do in the situation that you are given. And if you're doing your best, then you're good. Stress management. First thing we want to think about here is controlling what you can. There are going to be a lot of things that are outside of your control that life throws at you. Parents get sick, kids get sick, work is nuts. You name it, there's a million things that can go wrong. And it really comes down to just taking a minute to sit with yourself and say, is this within my control or not? And if it is, what can I do about it? And if it isn't, then say, okay, how can I just put this off and not let this get to me? Okay. And that starts with creating space. You need to find pockets of time, whether that's just like sitting in your car for 1 extra minute when you get to work, or when you pull up after work and you're at home and you're sitting in the driveway. Just take a minute or two and just be in your thoughts. Create space to feel the feels. I have another client who literally her sleep improved overnight just because I said, why don't we just take 5 minutes and like meditate or just sit with your thoughts and really just sort them out before you go to bed? Because every time she was waking up, it was always thinking about this stressful event going on or trying to remember the like five things at once. But we gave her 5 minutes just to sift through all of that in her head mentally. And all of a sudden her sleep got better. Little stuff like that goes such a long way. Um, Possibly seek out a professional. Sometimes there are situations going on and we got a lot of things where we're not equipped to handle it. And that's exactly what therapy is for. That's what mental health professionals are for. And that's why they're so good to have in your corner. They're an incredible part of a healthcare team overall, because I mean, having a doctor obviously is a necessity. Having a personal trainer and nutritionist is great, but a therapist can be an incredible resource as well. Okay, relapse prevention. Okay, like we were talking about before with problem solving. Okay, you know what your triggers are. You know the things that throw you off track. What are they? Identify them and figure out what the heck are we gonna do the next time this comes around. Strategy is the name of the game. So let's say, for example, like your relapse thing is that every single time you go out with this certain group of friends, they want to drink and they want to eat everything in sight. And you're like, oh boy, I can't say no to the guys or I can't say no to the ladies. Like, I don't want to be that person. Then that's okay. But let's figure out how to stay on track while still in that situation. Now, let's say you want to participate. Cool. Let's block out a certain amount of calories earlier in the day. Do we want to do this all the time and make a habit of it? No. But in that specific situation, if it's occasional, it's okay. Or let's get really good at saying, you know what? One night happened and I'm back on the plan the next day. Even though I'm hungover, even though I feel bloated beyond belief, I still show up to the gym because that's what my plan tells me I should be doing. And that's what I want to do to reach the goals that I set out for myself. So another big thing to learn when it comes to relapse is giving yourself the ability to mess up. We have a rule in the Fit 40 program: don't miss twice. Okay. You have the ability to be human. It's going to happen. Days are not going to go your way. But if you show up that next day, then you cut the chances of yourself falling off the wagon and staying off the wagon drastically down. Because again, like I know it's probably not going to come out for few weeks, but I actually just had a podcast episode with the director of sports performance for Tonal. And this guy used to work with the US ski and snowboarding team. And I asked him, I'm like, do professional athletes, are they perfect? Are they just superhuman? And he's like, no, they're just really good at getting back on the horse way faster than everybody else. So if you can master that, if you can get back on the horse immediately and don't give yourself time to feel bad, don't give yourself time to say I suck at this, and just say, you know what, it happened, I'm back, then that is one of the most powerful things that you can learn throughout this entire journey. And the other thing is to test and retest. Sometimes you're going to strategize and say, I'm going to do this, and it does not happen. Now, that's okay. retest, like re-strategize, retest, and eventually you're going to find your winning formula. But the key is to keep showing up and keep showing up for yourself so that you can figure out the solution, not just say, I suck at this. I'm never going to be good at this. I'm just a failure. Okay. Avoid that negative spiral. Just keep showing up for yourself and staying positive. That is the big, big thing to focus on here. Next is one of my favorites, which is creating a new identity. For anybody who's watching the video right now on a YouTube or in the Fit 40 family, right here is Ethan Suplee. He was the big lineman in Remember the Titans. He was in American History X. He was in Blow. He's always the big guy. And lately, in the past few years, he's gotten like shredded. Like you could see on the right hand side, he's got a lot of extra skin, but you could see a six pack. You can see veins because he got in incredible shape. I think he's maintained, I want to say, like 300 pounds down, something absurd. And he's been quoted as saying when he's done with the gym in the morning, he says, I killed my clone today. And what he means by that is he created a new identity for himself. The old him, he's just killing the old version of himself every single day that he shows up and commits to these healthy habits. So if you can create your new identity, and again, I know I keep talking about the program, but literally this stuff is what I pretty much molded the program around. Like the whole Fit 40 Kickstart includes all of this stuff in the first 12 weeks, but we call it Fit You. Like what is Fit Brian for me, or Fit Karen, or Fit Jessica? Like what is the fit version of you? And when you can identify that person and really say, this is who they are, and this is what they do on a day-to-day basis. This is how they talk to themselves mentally. This is what they do over and over and over again. Then you have a role model right there. You can say, hey, what would fit me do in this situation? And then it becomes very, very clear as far as like what the right moves are. And when you can do that over and over again, it solidifies that identity. So you're no longer asking, what would fit me do? You're just saying, this is what I do. This is who I am. And that serves you for life. And last but not least is social support. Okay. This is another big one because a lot of times family, friends, they're the ones just constantly making the journey harder and harder than it has to be. So it really helps to find like-minded people in whatever way you can, whether that's in person. You could find people like this at the gym. If you're into sports, like I know I just joined a pickleball league and I'm so pumped because everybody's super positive there and they're so nice. There's also softball leagues. There's like a million different things you could do, like community activities. So stuff like that helps, like different groups like that. You could also do online or hiring a coach. So when it comes to online, luckily, that's what we got the Fit 40 family for. We've got what it says 1.7, but it's actually up to 1.8 thousand people that are moms who are 40 plus, and they are all posting all the time, talking about their healthy meals, their workouts and things like that. So if you're not already in there and you are a mom 40 plus that wants to get in on the action, highly recommend jumping in and checking it out for yourself. We do free challenges all the time. And we actually have a boot camp coming up. We do one of those every quarter, and we're going to be giving away a grand prize of $1,000. So if you want to get in on that, highly recommend joining. And then we also have the Fit 40 program. This is our Fit 40 client group that's in the Fit 40 app. And this is, again, a bunch of ladies all on a similar mission to you. And you also have me as well in your corner because I'm your coach. So it helps having somebody who's educated, who's helped other people exactly like you to get exactly where you want to go. So again, just like when I was talking about like the therapy, how having somebody like that is an incredible resource. If you have a specific goal and you have somebody that has all the tools, then that's what a coach is for. And it can be the best investment of your entire life. And if they're any good, usually they can do it in around like that 3 to 6 month mark and teach you everything you need to know. So it doesn't have to be forever. You can learn the skills you need to in those 3 to 6 months and just do it for yourself over and over and over again, because like nutritional periodization, you could burn body fat, bring yourself into a reverse diet, hit maintenance, experience what maintenance feels like. If you want to lose more weight, you do it all over again. And that's like how I teach it. And you could just run it for yourself over and over and over again. So if you're interested in that, again, you could go down below. The links are in the description, in the show notes for the Fit 40 family. And if you want to take advantage of a free strategy call and find out what coaching is all about, you can do it there too. So that's it for this week. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. You guys got me all riled up at 8:30 at night. I don't even know if I'll be able to sleep tonight, but who cares? I'm just glad to do this for you guys. I hope you got a lot out of it. I will see you all same time, same place next week. But until then, go kick some ass. I will see you later.